Most people think about a recession the same way they think about a storm. Something that hits the whole country at once. Something that everyone feels at the same moment. Something that arrives and leaves together for everyone. But that is not how recessions actually work. According to Moody's Analytics chief economist Mark Zandi, one of the most respected economic analysts in America, 22 states are currently either already in a recession or dangerously close to entering one, even while the national economy as a whole continues to grow. 22 states, almost half the country, suffering quietly while the national headlines tell a different story. And within those 22, 5 states stand out, not just because their numbers are bad, but because the problems driving their decline are deep, structural, and getting worse rather than better. Today, we are going to look at exactly those 5 states, exactly what the data shows, and exactly why the rest of America should be paying very close attention to what is already happening there. Because in economics, what starts in one place rarely stays in one place. Let's begin. State 5, Connecticut, Connecticut, does not look like a state in trouble. It sits between New York City and Boston, two of the most economically powerful cities in the world. It has some of the highest household incomes in America. Its shoreline towns and quiet suburbs have the kind of comfortable, well-maintained appearance that suggests a place doing just fine. But appearances in Connecticut are hiding a fiscal reality that has been building for years and is now impossible to paper over. Connecticut appears in Moody's recession risk analysis as a high-risk state, one of the northeastern coastal states facing some of the worst economic conditions in the country. The reason is not a sudden shock or an unexpected crisis. It is the slow accumulation of decisions made over decades, finally arriving at a reckoning that cannot be postponed. Connecticut's pension obligations, money promised to retired state workers, represent one of the largest unfunded liabilities of any state relative to its size in America. The cost of servicing that debt consumes a growing share of the state budget every single year, leaving less money for roads, schools, hospitals, and the services that make a state attractive to the businesses and residents it needs to stay financially healthy. Connecticut shows warning signs including persistent fiscal challenges, budget deficits, underfunded pension systems, and limited rainy day funds, characteristics shared by states identified as most economically fragile and most vulnerable during economic downturns. The wealthiest residents of Connecticut, the finance executives, the hedge fund managers, the corporate leaders who chose Connecticut for its proximity to New York without New York's full tax burden have been leaving for Florida and other lower tax states for years. Every departure takes tax revenue that was helping, however inadequately, to cover the gap between what Connecticut owes and what it collects. The state is not collapsing, but it is running out of runway, and the 5 states ahead of it on this list are further along a road that Connecticut is clearly following. State 4, New Jersey. New Jersey built its economic identity around one industry more completely than almost any other state in America. The pharmaceutical companies that developed and manufactured medicines used by billions of people around the world chose New Jersey as their home for decades, drawn by its location between New York and Philadelphia, its research universities, and a business environment that supported the kind of large, complex operations that drug development requires. That foundation is fracturing under pressure from multiple directions at once. New Jersey shows lower than average post-pandemic GDP growth relative to the national average, a trend the Federal Reserve's own analysis has identified as a persistent weakness in the state's economic recovery. The pharmaceutical industry is simultaneously dealing with patent expirations on major drugs, meaning the exclusive right to sell those products is running out, generic competitors are flooding the market, and the revenue that justified massive New Jersey operations is declining. At the same time, drug companies are restructuring globally, consolidating operations, and reducing their physical footprints in high-cost states. New Jersey, with some of the highest property taxes and operating costs in the country, is losing that competition to states in the South and Midwest that are actively recruiting the jobs New Jersey is losing. New York and New Jersey both show lower than average post-pandemic GDP growth, and the Federal Reserve's analysis of state-level recession risk identifies the broader northeastern corridor as showing meaningful signs of economic weakness heading into 2026. New Jersey is not a poor state, but it is a state whose primary industry is under structural pressure at the same moment that its cost of doing business keeps rising. And that combination, sustained over several years, produces exactly the kind of gradual decline that recession data is now beginning to capture. State 3, Illinois. If Connecticut and New Jersey are early warning signs of what a state looks like when its fiscal foundation begins to crack, Illinois is what that crack looks like after a decade of going unrepaired. Moody's analysis identifies Illinois as the largest state economy currently in recession, the biggest among the states whose economic data places them clearly in contraction rather than growth or stagnation. The number that explains Illinois better than any other is $200 billion. That is the pension debt the state has accumulated. Money promised to retired teachers, firefighters, police officers, and government workers over decades of decisions that prioritize the political benefit of making the promise over the financial discipline of funding it. That debt now consumes a larger and larger share of Illinois' annual budget every single year. It crowds out spending on infrastructure, on education, on economic development, on everything that would make Illinois more competitive and more attractive to the businesses and residents it has been losing consistently for years. Illinois posted 23,547 announced job cuts in 2025, with unemployment sitting at 4.6%, above the national average and reflecting an economy where businesses are contracting rather than expanding. Illinois appears in the recession risk analysis with the kind of persistent weakness that does not come from a single bad year or a single bad decision. It comes from structural problems that compound over time, where each year of inaction makes the eventual reckoning more severe than the year before. What makes Illinois particularly important to understand is not just its own situation. It is the lesson it offers to every other state on this list. The pension crisis that is now consuming Illinois' budget was entirely predictable, entirely preventable, and entirely ignored for political reasons until it became too large to fix without pain. The states ahead of it on this list are watching that lesson play out in real time, and some of them are repeating the same decisions that created it. State 2. Washington State does not fit the typical profile of a state heading toward recession. Its technology sector is globally significant. Amazon and Microsoft are headquartered there. The state's ports connect American commerce to Asian markets. By almost every traditional economic measure, Washington should be among the strongest states in the country. But 2026 has introduced a level of uncertainty into Washington's economic outlook that the data is only beginning to capture, and the uncertainty is self-inflicted. Washington appears in Moody's high-risk recession category, a classification driven not by traditional industrial decline, but by the specific combination of pressures converging on the state's economy simultaneously in 2025 and 2026. Those pressures are real and measurable. The tech layoffs hitting Amazon, Microsoft, Oracle, Expedia, and T-Mobile have removed tens of thousands of high-earning workers from Washington's economy, workers whose spending, whose tax contributions, and whose demand for housing and services had been propping up the state's economic activity for years. The Seattle office vacancy rate sitting above 36% represents billions of dollars in lost commercial property value that residential taxpayers are now quietly absorbing through higher effective property tax burden. Washington is losing tech workers because artificial intelligence is writing the code that human engineers used to write, a structural shift that does not reverse when the economy improves, because the jobs are not coming back in the same form they existed before. And on top of the AI-driven job losses, Washington just passed the largest tax increase in its state history, including a new 9.9% income tax on millionaires that has already prompted high earners, business owners, and major companies to publicly announce plans to relocate. Moody's has revised Washington's credit outlook to negative, a signal that the financial trajectory of the state has shifted in a direction that concerns the people whose job it is to assess whether governments can meet their financial obligations. Washington is not Illinois, but it is making decisions in 2026 that the Illinois experience suggests should be made very carefully indeed. State 1, Maryland and Washington, D.C. The final state on this list is in some ways the most dramatic because its recession risk did not come from its own decision. It came from decisions made in a building a few miles away that Maryland and Washington, D.C. had no ability to control or prevent. Washington, D.C.'s unemployment rate was 6.4% in July 2025, significantly higher than the national average of 4.6%, driven directly by the sweeping federal government job cuts that removed tens of thousands of government workers and contractors from the regional economy in a very short period of time. Maryland and Washington, D.C. appear together in Moody's recession analysis as among the states struggling most severely with the D.C. area, identified specifically as the region most acutely affected by federal workforce reductions. The reason is straightforward. Maryland's economy and Washington, D.C.'s economy almost entirely is built around the federal government. The government agencies, the defense contractors, the consulting firms, the law firms, the technology companies that support government operations, all of them depend on a level of federal spending and a size of federal workforce that 2026 has dramatically reduced. When the federal government cuts tens of thousands of jobs, those job losses do not stay inside government buildings. They ripple through the restaurants those workers ate at, the apartments they rented, the shops they visited, the services they paid for, and they pull money out of a regional economy that had no comparable private sector engine to absorb the shock. Federal agencies cut 271,000 positions in 2025 alone, the largest reduction in the federal workforce in modern American history, and the geographic concentration of that pain in the Maryland and D.C. area means one region is absorbing a disproportionate share of an enormous national shock. Maryland residents who never worked for the federal government, who never held a government contract, who simply ran a small business or worked in healthcare or taught in a school, they are now living inside the economic consequences of a decision made in Washington that nobody asked them about and nobody warned them was coming. Tell us in the comments, are you from one of these states? Are you feeling this in your own life? And do you think your state's leadership has a real plan? Or is it hoping the problem goes away on its own? The next video is already waiting on your screen.